have this conversation with you guys as to why are women feeling so unhappy, unsatisfied, and stuck in their life. Okay, so it starts with the basic core concept. I have coached so many women and I'm seeing this repeat again and again, and there is a huge reason as to why this happened, and that is playing small. So, what do you mean by playing small? Let's say that you have the potential to go and climb the corporate ladder. Let's say you have all the potential to become a CEO of a company. But just because your family does not approve of your odd working hours or many things like that, you choose not to speak up about it or not to even discuss that issue with your family. It can be your family of origin or it can be your in laws, whoever it is, but you just tell yourself that I'm really happy with what I have. And a lot of times you are not. There can be some women who are happy with that kind of setup, but there are really some women who are not happy with what they have. So the starting point is, and of any transformation that happens at the Self Leadership Academy or in my coaching programs, is when you start speaking the truth to yourself. And there is nothing wrong with wanting to expand and not stay that small. So, when I say wanting to expand, let's say there is a woman who really has this desire that she wants to create wealth, she wants to make more money, but she keeps on saying that no, people who think about money or people who talk about money are bad people, are greedy people. That is the time when she is not being honest with herself, and that is the time when she will not able to start her journey, because in the first place she is not ready to accept that she wants this particular thing. And there is nothing wrong with wanting more wealth, especially when you want to create it for yourself, for your family, for whole of your ecosystem. There is nothing wrong about it. When we say that I want better health or better relationships, we never judge that person. But when we say that I want a better career or I want better money, why is there so much of self judgment? So, first is this inner conflict that goes on within women. So, the zeroth step is that they lie a lot to themselves that they don't want something. Second is when, we have this internal conflict going on. So, especially in the women of today's times, women who are in their 20s and 30s, there is a part of her which is more of like an explorer and expander that, I want to go travel, or I want to go live my life this way, or I want to have my whole house where I stay at home. I'm a stay at home mom, and I do want to take care of the house and take care of children and all of that. And there can be somebody who says that I don't want to pursue a career in science, I want a career in arts. This is your explorer voice. There is another voice which says that you are a bad girl for choosing arts over science because your family raised you with so much difficulty to give you a career in science. So how dare you choose arts now? This can be one of the voices. What else? This voice can say that you are a bad girl because you spoke and you stood up for yourself and disappointed others. You said no to the person who has taken care of you for such a long time, who has done so much for you for such a long time. So you see, there is this one very self-critical voice, and there is this other voice which is exploratory, which is standing up for itself. And this is happening in the whole collective. I mean, when I'm saying this, each and every woman who's watching this will be able to resonate with this voice. One voice which pushes you to explore, another voice which guilt trips you. So if you are a woman resonating, please write yes, so that this video reaches as many women as possible, because this guilt is that generations of patriarchy living in our head. Patriarchy was created by men. Patriarchy हिंदी में बोले तो पुरुष प्रधान संस्कृति, but brainwashed are other women, and sometimes we are also included in that brainwashing, and we tend to pass it on a lot. So whenever we will be breaking the stereotype, this guilt voice is going to come. So let me give you a few examples of how this happens in your daily life. Okay, so one client I was recently working with, and we were talking of all these emotions, and suddenly there was a point where we were talking about guilt, and she said that yesterday I was not feeling well at all, but I felt guilty of giving my daughter the rice that I had cooked in the afternoon. So she had cooked the rice in the afternoon. She gave the same rice for dinner at night. There's nothing wrong about that to feel guilty. But she was feeling guilty because somewhere, in your conditioning, if your moms or your grandmothers were the ones who were cooking a new meal every hour of the day, or breakfast, lunch, dinner, there were three different things, and you feel an obligation to do the same for your children, but you may have different priorities. Like with this woman, her health was a real priority that she needed to pay attention to, and her child is also quite grown up. So this guilt comes from that kind of conditioning where you are actually not doing something wrong, but you feel like you are doing something wrong. I have seen women get into such sad states even when they are doing the things that they always wanted to do, because of this guilty voice which is there within them. I know women say, I feel guilty when I go to the salon or for the parlor. I feel the urge to get back home as quickly as possible. Now, there is nothing, I'm not saying that this is absolutely bad, but it is, spoiling the experience of enjoyment. It is it is spoiling the experience of joy. And what happens is that due to this, women are not the women that they want to be. And there is a lot of bitterness and resentment because of it. And that bitterness and resentment shows up in their relationship, with their children, with their partner, with their in-laws, with their own family members, that I'm doing everything for all these people and then they don't care about me. If you were really living your own life, ladies, which does not mean that you don't care about your family, you do, but you are not doing these sacrifices where they really mean a lot to you. Let's say it can be starting a business that you always wanted to start. It can be writing a book that you always wanted to write. It can be joining a hobby class which you always wanted to do. It can be a yoga class. It can be changing the menu of the food. Maybe you wanted to start to eat more healthy. Whatever it is, but you have decided that, in your mind, the patriarchy has put in your mind that you are not important. No matter how much you watch self-help, you will not be able to break through this. And this is a common pattern that I have been observing with every woman that I work. So what is the solution to this particular problem? First, you become 100% honest to yourself about the things that you really want and about the things which are your shoulds. Okay, so I play this game with a lot with my clients. Create a should list, which is the list of your obligations that is expected from you, and create a want list, things that you really want to do, and try to keep your days and your priorities, okay, where you have more of wants and very less of shoulds. And a lot of times, you think your children also are putting that obligation on you. The lady that I was talking about, her child had no problem eating that rice. In fact, she was asking her mother again and again if her mother is well or not. So the child was not expecting anything like that, but the woman just assumed that this is my obligation. So a lot of times we assume those obligations even if other people around us are not wanting that from us at all. So you want to create this list, you want to discuss it with people around you that, hey, what are you really expecting from me? And also ask yourself that how much of these expectations do you really want to fulfill and do you not want to fulfill? You'll become 100x a freer person if you really make these lists for yourself. And then what happens is, in the solution, once you've started to be very honest and you've created this list, you need to go ahead and look at your inner conflict and what your unconscious priorities are. When I say unconscious priorities, it is your priority, but they are in conflict and they are unconsciously in conflict. So when you work with a coach or somebody who's a professional who is listening to you, they are able to identify it very clearly. So you can also do it for yourself. Let's say there's a woman, who wanted to go to work after her baby had grown up, but she was saying that my mother says I should only go once my baby is 5 years old. So there were conflicting unconscious priorities. One was taking care of her child and another priority was her career. So now she really needs to, speak to both these parts of her and come out with a common solution. So it can be working from home and being available to the child, still being able to take care of the child, or having support or help so that the child is well taken care of. Because you see, there are very positive intentions in both the things, and there can be a middle path that can be found out of it. So when your internal conflicts come, there are positive intentions in both the sides. So you want to learn from those positive intentions and come out with a solution. That is a much better way to resolve your internal conflict. Third, and very important, please watch your inner talk when you are around other women. This will tell you where you really feel wounded. So, let's say there's a lady who is working, who earns a lot of money, but she always keeps on judging and criticizing women who stay at home, saying that, ये तो अपने पति के पैसों पे ऐश करते हैं, इनके तो काम वाले होते हैं, इनको तो कोई काम ही नहीं होता. So you can sense the judgment, right? The deep psychological need of this woman is somebody should take care of her for a little while. I'm not saying that she wants to leave a job or anything like that, but she may want to take rest too, because it can be very exhausting when you are juggling your job and your home life, and you may want that break. So when you find yourself judging other women, you know what you really want. So when somebody says, I'm getting jealous of that woman for this particular reason, you know what you want. Okay, so don't judge yourself for being jealous, neither that woman for choosing what she is choosing, because whether you have healed these things within you, you will only understand with how your relationship is with other women. So I remember having this conversation with one of my clients. She was saying, I am more friendly with my father, or I am more comfortable with men in general than women, क्योंकि वो कितने sorted होते हैं ना. And then we started as a discussion, and then I asked her, why do you think, that men in your life were really sorted and women in your life were very messed up? And then she told me what her mother went through and what her grandmother did and all of those things. And then slowly we realized that there was so much emotional responsibility. If you see 2-3 generations behind, women were giving wallets to their husband, कपड़े निकाल के कबर्ड में से दे रहे हैं, all of these things. तो जिस इंसान की इतनी सारी चीज़ों का ख्याल कोई बाहर से रख रहा है, वो इंसान नेचुरली सॉर्टेड होगा. उसके ऊपर फाइनेंस छोड़कर घर की और कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है. इवन इफ द वुमन इज सिटिंग एट होम, शी इज कुकिंग, शी इज क्लीनिंग, शी हैज़ द इमोशनल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू रेज हर चिल्ड्रन, राइट, कि बच्चे भी अच्छे से अचीव करे. और अगर यही औरत फिर काम करने चली जाती है, फिर तो she is more in guilt, because if anything happens to the child, or if anything the child does not do in school well, then they will be saying that because you chose to work, because that kind of revolution that our mothers were doing is that they were going to work. So if we did anything wrong, so if our marks did not come well, the blame would be on the woman, that because you are going and choosing your career, the child has become like that. And there's so much of emotional responsibility, household responsibility, which put women in a very overwhelming and stressful state. Okay, so saying this thing that because they are sorted, they are better, so this is again you rejecting your own feminine essence. Women who say this, that men are more sorted than women, they are judging themselves, their own emotions. And you will often find women who say this are not good with their own emotions, which means they suppress it. They show off that I am also very, very sorted in my mind. Okay, so if you are overwhelmed, you are overwhelmed. If you're feeling stressed, you're feeling stressed. The very important thing, and one thing a woman should never say to herself, is that I am too much. Reframe it to saying I am this much. Like I say, I love making videos, I love to coach people on peak performance and high performance. At the same time, I love the process of going deep and healing as well, where you're more in acceptance with your life. So when I understood my own practice, I like to cover the breadth of it, like how wide it can go and how deep it can go. I don't say I am too much anymore. And yes, I may have different moods, different day. Sometimes you see me in a blazer, sometimes you see me in a t-shirt, sometimes you'll see me, walking in a garden, sometimes you'll see me reading a book and having tea, and just like your friend. And that are all the aspects of my personality, which I own with all the pride that I can. And I'm not ashamed of these things at all now. First, I used to say that, I'm such a confused person. Sometimes I'm doing this, sometimes I'm doing that. Now it tells me that that is the vibrance of my personality, which I love to see on YouTube. And some of you have told me that it looks so genuine, and we also are loving it, because just seeing a person every day in the same kind of a thing is also quite boring, right? So I'll end this video over here right now, but you are enough.